Hi everyone, welcome to the fifth and the final episode of the first series of pain stories. So in this episode, we are going to concise whatever we have discussed so far so that we can better understand how the brain perceives the pain and how a simple acute pain gets transformed into a chronic pain where the pain persists for a longer period of time even after the injury is healed. So in the previous example, we had seen I had sprained my wrist and it has given the painful signals triggering to the brain stating that I have a pain at my wrist, so better go and heal the part by sending the inflammation, then the muscle spasm, so that the part gets healed faster. Okay, so but as we had seen in the previous episode, these inflammatory markers again has the capacity to produce the secondary pain stimulus again back to the brain, sending us the um, inflammatory markers back again, so that it becomes like a positive cycle again, giving pain signals, then again releasing inflammatory markers back again. Okay, so in the last class, this specific phenomenon we had seen specifically happening at the place of damage, either by an external stimulus or I sprained my wrist, which happens at the locally. So in the first episode, we have clearly seen the pain fibers which are starting from the bodily tissues don't just directly go to the brain. It goes via the spinal cord, which acts like a junction box, then goes into the brain. So these are the external stimuluses, or we can say the signals which externally gets received and goes into the brain. So it doesn't stop there. The brain also sends the signals back down to stop these painful signals so that this inflammation doesn't progress. Okay. So these basically comes from certain parts, especially in the midbrain, which sends specific brain threshold lowering substances or chemicals that basically comes down at the spinal cord level so that it stops the nerves sending the signals to the brain so that it gives a feedback to the brain or to the other tissues telling that okay, you can stop sending the inflammation. So the pain threshold or the pain intensity by the bodily tissue damage has come down. Okay, but now the major culprit, what happens is, as I told about the spinal cord which being the relay center, the spinal cord, apart from having the neurons, has also some supportive cells. Scientifically we call it as the glial cells. So these glial cells has the capacity to get more sensitized or being more vulnerable in sending this stimuluses, or we can say in sending this particular enzymes or chemicals to produce more. Okay, this glial cells get this sensitization again by the peripheral senses sending the impulses back again to the brain, sorry, back again to the spinal cord, telling that pain is there, pain is there, pain is there. So these excited glial cells again gets triggered and sends the painful signals back into the nerve fibers at the spinal cord level itself, then triggering the higher intensity of pain again. So what happens in this is, because of the higher intensity of pain being localized at the spinal cord level itself, the descending pain reducing signals or the fibers from the brain is overpowered. Okay. In other words, we can mean to say that the descending painful signals cannot stop the overpowered centrally mediating painful stimuluses that happens at the spinal cord itself. Okay. So now, so these inflammatory enzymes or markers that has been caused by the overpowered cells in the spinal cord or overpowered neurons and the glial cells in the spinal cord actually becomes the secondary zone of injury. Okay. Now I'll repeat it in a more clear manner. So initially we had the wrist inflammation caused by after a wrist sprain or something that has caused a secondary changes at the spinal cord level. Okay. Now by in the meantime, the tissue healing would have happened and the wrist sprain would have stopped the damage and also the healing would have happened. But because of the changes that happened in the meantime of healing, the spinal cord, the cells in the spinal cord at that particular level, which carried the pain fibers or the pain signals from the wrist to the spinal cord, has got sensitized, or in other words, we can say more inflamed. So these inflammatory markers repeatedly send signals to the brain telling that pain is persistent. As I had said before, the part, for example, say the injured part of the wrist is also represented in the brain, so that only we can able to feel that, okay, my wrist is paining, or my elbow is paining, or my neck is paining, or my heel is paining. So because of this sensitized brain, by the spinal cord, which constantly gets sending signals to the brain even after my wrist sprain has been lessened down, my brain feels that my wrist is actually paining. Okay, now this needs to be very clear. Now this stage is at the particular stage where my wrist sprain has actually been healed up. Okay, this secondary pain, which my brain tells that my wrist is paining, is actually not because of the actual pain at the wrist. It is because of the sensitized nerves and the inflammatory markers that, or the enzyme that happens at the spinal cord level, which is like a relay center. Okay, so this constantly now sends signals back into the brain telling that pain is persistent and pain is persistent. Okay, so in a way, the brain is made up of neurons. The neurons basically gets adapted based on the signals what it gets. Okay, so this prolonged manner in which the brain also gets sensitized, the brain has its neighboring areas also. For example, the area where I sense the wrist, the neighboring area I can have the elbow or the fingers. So progressively, when one area of the brain gets sensitized, the neighboring area also gets the feeling of pain, telling that not only my wrist is paining, but my fingers are also trying to feel the pain, and it can extend up to the elbows as well. So in this way, a simple pain or the acute pain caused after a particular tissue damage begins to extend after the period of healing as well, because of the primarily changes happening at the periphery, at the damaged zone. Secondarily, at the spinal cord level, which is like a relay center carrying the pain. And thirdly, at the central level, giving overall sensitized area or sensitized zones to the body, giving pain at multiple levels. Okay, so a simple pain caused by a sprain at the wrist not only ends up paining only the wrist, but even spreads to the fingers, spreads to the shoulders, spreads to the elbow, and sometimes for some people spreads to the opposite side also. Okay, which we'll be seeing in the second series of pain stories. Okay, so hope this series of pain stories we have seen the basics of pain, how we perceive the pain. The brain is the one thing which actually perceives the pain, telling that this part is paining, that part is paining. At the end, we are able to understand how even after the primary tissue damage has been healed because of the bodily defense system, because the central organs such as the spinal cord and the brain tissues starts to get sensitized because of repeated painful signals happening because of the changes that happens in the spinal cord and at the brain level. The brain starts to get persisting, and the areas of the pain also starts to expand. So this again gives a lot more negative feedback to the patients that my pain is still persistent, I can't able to do my day-to-day activities as we had seen before. So if the pain and the inflammation is persisting, the muscle tightness also tends to persist, and because of the muscle tightness and the inflammation persist, there will be a loss of function, or the person cannot able to use the part, because this is again the body's defense system. Okay, so this is how what happens after a pain. It seems so simple, but there are actually patients who suffer majorly with this, where many don't consider or appreciate this as a major problem. But there are a huge prevalence of this chronic pain, as we call it as fibromyalgia or myofascial pain syndrome or chronic fatigue syndrome. All this persist, which needs to be looked into more concern. So which is one of the major reasons for starting this pain stories. So telling this in a more understandable way, as patients, you also understand it better, and as caregivers or parents of patients who actually have this chronic pain issues can also understand this better, so that you can able to better handle yourself or handle your child or your relative in a more better manner. Okay, so this is up for the first 5 episodes of the pain stories. We'll continue this second series of pain stories after a short break. So next we'll be moving on to exercise stories. We need to understand what happens to the body when we start exercising. Okay, so that will be in the coming days. So thank you for watching. Keep subscribing and keep sharing with your friends so that many people can able to understand about pain and brain. Thank you.